Welcome to Satsang. Starting as always with one of the questions coming in from our online audience, our online family joining from all over the world. And then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. So there's two different microphones. Just choose whichever is closer to you. And you can come up to the mic and tell us your name and then ask your question. I am living without my children, as their father taught them to reject me. This is a difficult path for a loving mother like me, and this has been going on for more than 1,000 days now. How can I keep living a life of love and devotion? And this is asked by Nageda Valoy. You know that it's a situation where you've lost someone or something you love when you count days instead of years. You'll notice she didn't say about 3 years. She said more than 1,000 days. We feel that presence of every minute, every hour. Parents who have lost children, spouses who have lost spouses, especially in the years when you don't expect that you're going to lose one, can tell you it's been this many years, this many months, this many days, this many hours, this many minutes. Because every one of those minutes and hours is painful. And of course, what we see in this case is one of the side effects of divorce. Yes, if you have a situation in which the parents absolutely cannot live together, okay. In some cases, it's actually better for the children to have the parents separate than to grow up in a household where there's nothing but violence, nothing but fighting. If they can have 2 loving but single family homes, it's actually better than one non-loving, conflict-filled home. And yet, sadly, when you get divorced, you don't end up with that ideal of 2 loving single-parent homes. You end up with 2 homes in which the kids end up being used as pawns against each other. As she said, the father has turned the kids against her. Not for any particular benefit to himself. It's hard to be a single parent. It's always nice to actually have the other one there to help out, to give you some days off, to give you some nights off, to take the kids for a weekend. But it's the sort of thing that we do only in spite, only in anger, only in vengeance. It's the I will hurt myself if it's going to hurt you even more. I will create a situation that is painful to me just to create more pain for you. And it's tragically common. It's also the sign of really undeveloped, unevolved people. It's much more that animal instinct aspect of us, but it's actually even worse than an animal instinct, because animals even do not engage in behavior that harms another animal, that doesn't actually benefit them. They'll kill you if they need to eat you, or they'll kill you if they think you're going to kill them or kill their child. But they're not going to kill you just to make you mad. They're not going to kill you just because, or harm you just because. So it's actually worse than an animal instinct, and it's the impact of vengeance. It's like that beautiful saying of being angry is like drinking poison but expecting the other guy to die. You're the one. I mean, this has been written by the side of the mother. But for a father to have to turn his kids against their mother, to take love, powerful love, the love of children for their mother, and turn that against her, imagine how much hatred he must have to generate on a day-to-day basis. Because if he ever slacks off, the kids are going to just start loving mom again. It's the most natural thing in the world. If the mom hasn't actually harmed them or abused them or done something, imagine how much energy and effort this father must be using to generate, to remember, oh yeah, have to hate mom. Oh yeah, have to remind the kids to hate mom. Oh yeah, have to come up with another story today to get the kids to hate mom. That is an incredible amount of time and energy. Now you imagine what it must be like inside of him to have to keep generating that amount of anger. And so to the mom, there's spiritual solutions, there's emotional solutions, and there's practical solutions. And they're not mutually exclusive. A lot of times we think that if I'm looking for a spiritual solution, it means that I should not worry about a practical solution, that I'm only looking spiritually. And I think in a lot of cases, we actually give up on the possibility of a practical solution before necessary. So yes, on a spiritual level, she needs to practice what we call acceptance, which is that state of being in which you say, if I had a magic wand, this is not how I would have done it. And there are things in life that are out of my control. The only thing in life in my control is my own thoughts and my own actions. That which my ex-husband is doing to my children to turn them against me is out of my control. All that is in my control is how I react to it. And from a spiritual perspective, that is the mature way of saying, okay, I'm not going to also drink the poison and hope he's going to die. I'm not going to get so angry and feel so hurt that not only don't I have my children, but I also make sure that I don't have any peace. I also make sure that I get an ulcer. I also make sure that I get high blood pressure. I also make sure that I have all of these ramifications. So yeah, the spiritual way is whatever it is that happens in our lives that is not what we want. You know, I share frequently the definition of success that was given by this beautiful saint who used to live right across the river named Swami Dayanandji Maharaj. And he used to say, the only definition of success that matters is how you respond to the inevitable times, not preventable times, not avoidable times, but the inevitable times. You cannot avoid it. You cannot prevent it. When the universe does not act the way you think it should. We define success based on how much money you make, how big is your house, are you the CEO or the president, do you have the corner office, how many employees do you have, how many followers do you have, how many fans do you have, how big is your bank account. But he said no. All success is how you respond to those inevitable times when the universe does not act in the way you think it should. So this is her opportunity to find life success by being able to find peace in a situation that is most distinctly unpeaceful. To be able to find equanimity in a situation that is unfair, infuriating, a violation of your very human rights, maternal rights, against every law of morals and ethics and dharma that we have. But on a spiritual level, her success is going to come from finding acceptance, from loving her children, blessing her children from afar, from sending those blessings, sending that love. And we know there's lots of research out there on the power of intention, the power of thought, the power of prayer to traverse through the ether in energetic waves of its own. We know that light waves travel. We know that sound waves travel. We know that magnetic energy travels. We know nuclear energy travels, right? You have a situation like Chernobyl, right? A nuclear reactor fails and suddenly, not just there, but all throughout hundreds and hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of miles radius, it travels. Well, in the same way, so do blessings. So does intention. So does thought. So she can send those. But I would also say that in our yearning for a spiritual solution, we should not reject the pragmatic, action-based solution as well. And I think it's really important in situations like this to also make sure, are you doing everything you can from a legal standpoint? Are you able to go to court? Are you able to fight for your children? I don't know how old they are. I don't know whether they've got any say in this. Are there other family members who the children trust, who they love, who can be used as intermediaries? But I wouldn't give up. I would keep trying. Use the spiritual solution so that as you are fighting logistically and pragmatically, you are also in peace. You're also able to digest your food. You're also able to sleep at night. Because it doesn't do you or anyone any good to become a crazed out, frantic chicken with her head cut off. It doesn't benefit anyone. You don't achieve anything like that. So use the spiritual solution to anchor and ground. And figure out also, is there anything else you can do? Fight for them. At least, if it doesn't work now, at least at some point in the future, when by God's grace you have the opportunity to explain to them what their father did, you'll be able to say, and I fought for you. Here's all the things I did. Otherwise, inevitably, he's going to say, look, your mom doesn't even care. She doesn't get to see you. She doesn't even care. She's just meditating. She's just gone to do yoga. She's not even fighting. You see the way that your own spiritual practice gets used against you. So make sure that you are fighting for them now, and also to be able to show them later that you fought, that you wanted them, that you are not the person that your ex-husband led them to believe you are. Because when people have been brainwashed, and especially children, it's sad to say, but having a little bit of a paper trail actually can be really beneficial, and helping them see how they were brainwashed, how they were indoctrinated. So do both. And I'm so sorry that you're in that situation, and you'll be in our prayers and our heart here in Rishikesh. Questions? Other questions? Yeah, there's a mic right behind you.
Namaste. Julia from Portugal.
Wonderful, welcome.
My question is regarding the enlightenment. Last time you said your story that enlightenment happened to you suddenly. You did not do any practices. Like in my case, I read everything what I could. I practiced everything like 20 years, and I feel like I'm stuck, and I don't know if can we speed up the process, can we reach it, or it just happened, or it's maybe never happens.
Wonderful. So first of all, let's look at what do we even mean by enlightenment. Because there's all kinds of different misunderstandings about it. Pujya Swamiji always says, when you get enlightened, it's not that suddenly you grow horns on your head and that you actually look different and that people say, oh, that one's enlightened. In the Hindu tradition, in the Vedic tradition, we speak about darkness, andhakar, as ignorance. We don't believe in original sin, we believe in original ignorance. The core of who you are, you specifically, but also all of us globally, universally, is divine, is light, is purity, is truth. It doesn't need enlightenment. It is the truth, it is the light, it is the divine. That's the core of who you are. But what happens is we get wrapped up in ignorance, and that ignorance says you are your body. It begins when we're young. We're not born like that. It begins as we start to get socialized, right? And some of it we learn in the home. Our parents tell us we are good or we're bad, or we're smart, or we're lazy, or we're beautiful, or we're not beautiful. We get all kinds of identifications handed to us. She's the pretty one, she's the smart one. Identifications handed to us. We then get it as we grow, we get it in school, and we start to slowly identify. Oh, you're the dark one, you're the fair one, you're the tall one, you're the short one, you're the rich one, you're the poor one. You're the pretty one, you're the ugly one. You're the Christian one, you're the Jewish one, you're the Hindu one, you're the Muslim one, you're the atheist. We come up with all these labels, all these identities as we grow. Then we get relationships, we start to have I am this one's daughter, this one's son, this one's mother, this one's husband, this one's wife. Yet another identification. Such that by the time we become adults, if I say, who are you? You've got a whole list of things you are. Based on the physical body, based on your relationships, based on your religion, based on your sexual orientation, based on your skills, your abilities, your inclinations, your emotional state, all of it. That's ignorance. Enlightenment is when you realize, I am not those things. Because there was an I long before I became fat. There was an I long before I became tall. There's an I long before I became so-and-so's husband or wife or mother or father. Long before I realized that I was so-and-so's son or daughter. There's been an I throughout all of that. People change religions, people convert, I doesn't disappear. So I is not this. Enlightenment is simply the felt sense awareness experience that is sustained of knowing who you are and who you are not, and therefore living in light, not in darkness. That's what it means. That is the light of enlightenment. You are not becoming light, you already are light. You are shedding the ignorance so that the light of you shines. That's what it is. Now, you'll notice I used the word sustainable. I do not, just for the record, consider myself an enlightened being. When you said in your beginning part of your question that I was enlightened, I don't consider myself that. I feel that I have had extraordinary experiences, many of them by God's grace, more and more of them as the years go by, of living in light rather than darkness. I am able to access the light through the darkness much, much more easily and quickly and smoothly than I used to be. I'm able to hold on to it, to sustain it for a lot longer than I used to. I'm able to recognize a lot more quickly, oh my God, I've descended into darkness. Oh my God, here I am identifying falsely as a role, an emotion, a feeling state, whatever it may be. I am definitely still quite far from getting to the place where I am in that state 100% of the time, where I never forget. And I share this with you because I actually see that as an exciting thing, because there's so much more now of the journey. To me, peeling back layers is a beautiful process. Every time I find myself again lost in a moment of that ignorance, I've identified in an identification form. Identified as this. I remember when my mom had her stroke 3 years ago now, and I went back to Los Angeles to take care of her. Now, on the outside, you could say it's Dharma. It's not ignorance, it's Dharma. And it was. I went out of Dharma, out of love and Dharma, duty. But then, when I got there and realized how much of her brain she had lost and how brain damaged she was and how little she remembered, I got into this. It lasted about almost a good month. I got into this identity of the one who was going to fix Mom. I was going to figure it out. We were going to get Mom back. I'm a doer, right? I mean, we're here in Seva. We accomplish so much through God's grace. We bring education, we bring healthcare, we bring environmental protection, we bring water, we bring this, we do this. We make things happen. There's a disaster, there's a tsunami, there's an earthquake. We are there. Schools, houses, whatever you need, we're there. I had this whole identity, I realized, around being the one who could make things happen. And I thought, okay, the doctors couldn't do it till I got there. I'm going to make this happen. And I spent about a month in that, going to make it happen. It's going to be probiotics. It's going to be this kind of herbs. It's going to be this neurologist or that neurologist or this hospital or that expert. And about a month into it, finally the very top neurologist I had managed to pull a bunch of strings to get my mom in to see, said to me, there is no her left in there you're going to bring back. He said, there's nothing to bring back. He said, she may improve a little. Stroke victims do. He said, but she's never going back to where she was. And aside from that, changing the whole nature of what care looked like and treatment looked like, it was this huge spiritual moment for me of, oh, look at how I've gotten so wrapped up into this identity as the one who makes things happen, when here is something that by nature can't actually happen. And it actually gave me this extraordinarily beautiful spiritual opportunity to just stop, to breathe, to re-anchor in who I am, and to continue, of course, to do the very best that you can. And P.S. 3 years later, she's actually doing so much better. She actually got so much back. But that's Ganga's grace. But I share that story because there are moments like that. That was the longest one, but there's other shorter moments where you just suddenly find yourself wrapped up in an identity. Wrapped up in a story that you tell yourself about yourself. Who you are, what you do, how you do, what. And I see these as beautiful opportunities to re-remember. They're not failings on some part. There's nobody up there grading you. The divine is waiting for us, but not grading us. It's not about, oh, today was, a pass or fail day. Don't grade yourself like that. Ask yourself very simply, have I peeled back another layer? Was there an identification that I had that I was able to break through today? Some story I told myself about myself. Did I find myself at any point in the day saying, well, you know how I am? Either to others or to myself. Yeah, well, that's just me. Did I say that to someone? Did I say that to myself? Just little things, and you start to notice them. And ask yourself, did I peel back any layer today? Did I have an opportunity today to examine something I tell myself about myself? And to then peel it back and to realize it's not true. Yes, for all of us, in this life, in next life, in another up-and-coming life, we will reach that ultimate state in which it's an unbroken state that we live in. Unchanging, unbroken, no ignorance at all, total light. But until then, enjoy the journey. There's nothing wrong with the human experience, other than it causes suffering. If you say, why enlightenment? Like, why? Well, because when we are not enlightened, to the extent we are not enlightened, we are suffering. Ignorance leads to suffering. every time we get stuck, we suffer. In that month, I suffered. Not just the suffering because of what was happening to my mom, but I suffered in the struggle with my identity. Because if I am the one who makes things happen, and I'm not able to make this happen, well, that's a cause of suffering. Then you're a failure, then you can't do this, then something is wrong, then present moment is not perfect. And spirituality teaches us to keep remembering the perfection of the present moment. It's exactly as it should be. So we strive for that light, because that light is the end of suffering. So you'll get there. But remember, it's not all or nothing. Every day that you beat yourself up because you're not fully there yet is a day that you're actually consciously bringing yourself back into darkness. Enjoy the light. When it's there, and when it's not, ask yourself, is there a layer here I can pull back? If I'm suffering in any way, it means there's a layer that needs to be pulled back. What's the ignorance of the moment? If this moment feels like anything less than perfection, there's ignorance in the moment. What layer can I peel back? See it as a journey. Beautiful. Yes.
Namaste, Sadhviji. I'm Pujya, and Sadhviji, ever since I've been on this path, I would say that I've heard from people, my family, that we should pray for others. But I never understood in two contexts. One context being that if the other person is also already praying for himself or herself, then how does my prayer become a better version for that person? Secondly, if the person is, not favoring me, or let's say it's a karmic hurdle that I face, some challenge in, getting along with that person, does that, let's say in the context of the first question we got, let's say if that lady is praying for the ex-husband, does it make that ex-husband any less, does it open some karmic ties?
Absolutely.
So thank you. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, if someone is open to your prayers, if someone is energetically open, they're going to benefit a lot more than if they're not. But even if somebody doesn't know you're praying for them, it still helps. And by the way, as I said, there's actually been scientific research done on this. On the power of prayer, the power of intention. It absolutely works. Yes, the more spiritual that person is, the more aligned with you they are, it's even more powerful. But never give up on praying for someone just because they're not open, or just because they don't love you, or just because they're not aligned. Don't worry about it. You pray. It benefits them, but also beautifully it benefits you. The act of praying for someone else actually benefits you. Part of the studies they have found is that the people who were the participants in the studies, who were being told to pray for a certain person or to intend for a positive outcome for someone, a health outcome, a peace outcome, either for a person, for a city, they've done it to bring down violence in cities. What they find is not only does that power of prayer and intention impact those we're praying for, but it impacts those who are doing the praying. And at the end of the period of study, month, 2 months, 6 months, however long the study was, those who were doing the praying and the intending were actually much happier and much more psychologically healthy than they were before the study. So even though it seems like praying for myself would be the best thing I could do, oh God, make me in peace. Oh God, give me abundance. Actually praying for someone else, may they be in peace, may they experience abundance, actually benefits me even more than praying for myself. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. I will look so forward to gathering together again with you all tomorrow. And as I always remind you, but since the group changes every single day, please do be sure to take advantage of the full day of beautiful, beautiful programs we have. Arti, just before this, I hope you all go to the Ganga Arti. The beautiful yagna ceremony in the morning, the fire ceremony. And all of the wonderful meditation programs, yoga programs, philosophy programs that we have during the day. Everything is open to everyone. There's no charge for anything. There's a schedule up in the reception area. So however long you're here for, just fill your day with inspiration and with tools and techniques that help you while you're here, but that also are things that you can take back with you. And so much love to you all.